Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about what I have seen to be the best first gun for people, okay? So this isn't theory, okay? This is based on my experience of having trained like thousands and thousands of people um, over a period of some 15 years, okay? So I'm a certified instructor. I travel around different gun ranges. I've trained everybody from people that are experienced with guns, trying to get better. But most of the people that I train, okay, are like brand new first time shooters. So I'm gonna tell you guys what I think is what I have, not what I think, what I have seen, okay, to be the best first gun for people. Now, this isn't necessarily from the perspective. Let's talk about the perspective here, because a lot of people are like, well, what's the best gun for like SHTF? Okay, what's the best gun for everyday carry? Okay, what's the best gun if the Chinese and Russians invade? Okay, my perspective, right, in deciding, in reporting to you guys what is the best first gun, is based on what people will enjoy shooting, and as a consequence of enjoying shooting the gun, will go to the range the most often and shoot that gun. Okay, so that's what it's based on, because you can buy the best gun, right, or the quote unquote the best gun, but if you don't enjoy shooting it, if it's too expensive to shoot, if your entire family can't participate in shooting, you're not going to go to the range often enough to get good with it. Okay, so the gun that I have seen the most number of people enjoy shooting, and the most amount of people within the family, right, everyone from like 10 years old and up, right, 10 years old, going up to like 70 plus years old, right, in some cases 80 years old plus. The gun I have seen most people shoot and enjoy shooting is a 9mm AR. Okay, now for women, I generally prefer a shorter barrel just because it's less front heavy. But this is the gun that most first time shooters enjoy shooting and want to shoot more. Okay, now a lot of times when we have this discussion about best first time gun, a lot of people will be like, oh, you got to get like a compact, pistol that you can carry. Okay, a lot of people will be like, you gotta get something like this, like a Glock 43 or similar, 63, 65. Other people are like, oh, you gotta get a duty gun like a Glock 19 or a Glock 17. Okay, so I'll tell you guys the reality. Like here in Pennsylvania, it's very easy to get a carry permit. Okay, I have met lots of people, like lots of people, that have carry permits and have compact pistols or full size pistols and do not carry. Okay, they do not carry. The reason why they do not carry is because they do not feel comfortable in carrying gun. They don't feel confident. They don't feel like they're competent to carry. So there's lots of people that I have met that have carry permits, have guns that they could carry, but don't carry. Okay, they have the guns locked up at home, and because they don't practice with the guns often enough, even in like an emergency type of situation, like they don't have the skill to be able to get to that gun, get the gun loaded, and get it in a holster if it's a pistol, and be able to use that gun. Okay, so the gun that I have seen time and time again that people enjoy shooting, okay, and thus practice with and get better with, is a 9mm AR. Now this happens to be a Palmetto AR. It doesn't have to be a Palmetto, but the Palmettos are very accessible, especially if you order the lower separate. It becomes a lot cheaper. Although most first time shooters won't be able to, they're not going to feel comfortable doing that. So they'll want to purchase the whole thing in its entirety. But the main thing here is that you want it taking Glock magazines and shooting 9mm, because the 9mm is cheaper. Okay, and it's very easy for people to get at any gun store. Now, let's take a, again. This video might is intended for people that are like absolutely new to guns. Also, people looking in saying, "Why is this guy, recommending this gun over a compact gun or regular AR-15 like this one over here that shoots 5.56?" So here's the thing: 5.56, 9mm. The 5.56 basically shoots a 22 with a lot of gunpowder behind it. Okay, the 9mm is twice the size of that. The truth is that in a home defense type of situation, and I've actually tested this here on steel barrels. I've had like 7 steel barrels, like 15 feet apart. The 9mm will actually out penetrate the 5.56. Okay, because once the 5.56 or 223, right? Once this 22 over here goes through the first barrier, it starts destabilizing, it starts tumbling, and by the time it gets through several barriers, right? By the time it gets to the third barrel, this basically turns to dust. The 9mm will actually go into 4 barrels. Okay, so I had 4 steel barrels. The 9mm will actually penetrate 4 barrels versus 3 barrels, and in the 4th barrel, I'm able to recover the 9mm intact. Whereas the 223 had like basically broken up. Okay, so I am not recommending the 9mm because it has less penetrating. It's less likely to over penetrate. That's not the reason at all. The reason why I recommend the 9mm AR is because this is the gun that people will enjoy shooting. This is a gun that you can put a 10-year-old on under supervision, and they will be able to shoot this gun because the mass of the gun, right, will pick up the recoil. Now, you can put a 10-year-old on a 5.56. It'll actually, depending on how it's set up, in some instances, the 5.56 the recoil on this will actually be less. Okay, the 9mm is a direct blowback, right? So there's no locking action to diffuse some of the recoil. So the 5.56 AR, that's that one. The 5.56 AR, in some instances, can recoil less, making it a preferable gun for small people, women, kids to shoot. Okay. However, with the 9mm AR, I can usually offset that by putting like an 8-ounce buffer weight in there, and that kind of brings the two like either equal or gives the 9mm slightly less felt recoil. Okay. So it's not an issue of recoil when you're looking at a 9mm AR versus a 5.56 AR. Between those two guns, it's an issue of cost. Okay, the 9mm ammunition is cheaper, and people are going to be willing to shoot more often. Okay, so they're going to get better with it, get more comfortable. The whole loading process. Plus they will be able to actually hit the targets. Okay, very typical. I'll put like at about 10 yards on steel targets like those. First-time shooters can hit those steel targets over there with that very first shot they ever took. Right? They can do that with a 9mm AR. Okay, they can't do that with a 9mm pistol. The way I normally train people, right, is I'll have them shoot a 9mm AR first. Okay, and once I see that they're comfortable shooting the 9mm AR, then I will put them on a 9mm pistol, and I basically say, hey, what you just did with that 9mm AR, now you're gonna try and do with the pistol. But that's how I train people. First, I put them on the rifle, get them good with that, then I'll put them on the pistol. Now, given that both of these take the same magazines and the same ammunition, it's really easy for me to transition from one to the other. It's economical because I don't have to worry about having extra magazines. I don't have to worry about getting a different type of ammunition. So it is a really easy way to transition people back and forth. So the first best gun that I have seen for people where they enjoy shooting it, where the whole family can get involved and kids can shoot under supervision, is the 9mm AR. Okay, from there it is a much easier transition to a 9mm pistol, right? Like particularly a Glock that takes Glock magazines. Now, a lot of people will say that the Glocks are not comfortable in their hands. I'm gonna tell you guys this: even though Glocks tend, like a Glock 17 or Glock 19, a lot of times is a little bit too big for women's hands, they can shoot this better than a smaller gun that fits their hands better. Okay, So with training somebody the first time, right, the most important thing is not comfort, okay? Because if you go to a gun store, right, and what you know, especially if there's a woman that goes into a gun store, they'll put the gun in her hand and they'll be like, "How's it feel? Does it feel comfortable?" And that is an absolutely stupid question, because you know it doesn't matter how the gun feels when it's in your hand. The question is, you know, how does the gun shoot in your hand and can you hit the targets? So lots of times I will train women on the Glock 17 or Glock 19. It does not fit their hands right. Their hand might be a little bit off to the side here. Okay, but after training them on a 9mm AR, okay, and getting them to hit you know, like man-sized targets at 10 yards and 30 yards, okay, then I will put an uncomfortable Glock in their hands and they can hit the target at 10 yards, okay? And it doesn't matter if the gun is slightly uncomfortable for them. Now, once they're comfortable shooting the 9mm Glock, right, the full-size either Glock 17 or Glock 19, once I see that they're comfortable, then I will introduce them to a Glock 43. And I'll tell you guys the truth, a lot of women don't like shooting small guns once they actually start shooting them because it fits their hand really nice, but the problem is they're not able to handle the recoil. So the slightly larger version, like the Glock 43, I think the XL or SIG 365 XL, the slightly larger version ends up being the better gun for them. Okay, and it's not about comfort in their hands. It's about you know, can they handle the recoil? And the mass of the gun picks up the recoil. So the smallest gun that fits the hands of women the best is not the gun that they're going to shoot the best, okay? Now, with lots of training and lots of experience, they can get good at shooting a small gun like a Glock 43, which is a great carry gun, which is, in fact, the gun that I carry, a Glock 43, okay? But just because a gun is comfortable in your hands and it's easy to carry doesn't mean that that's the best gun to learn on, okay? The best guns to learn on are the big ones, okay? So learn on an AR-9, which is cheap, okay? And then go to like a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, learn to shoot that pistol well, and then after that, then you can look at like Glock 43s and SIG 365s and some of these subcompact guns, okay? So again, the starting point, because the starting point for a lot of people is, what's the best gun for the apocalypse, okay? What's the best gun for home defense, okay? And they're like, okay, AR-15, no doubt, no question. Yes, and I don't deny that. An AR-15 is the best gun if you're in the gunfight, okay? That is the best gun. This will beat a pistol, okay? Absolutely, for sure, okay? So the AR-15 is the best gun if you're in the gunfight, okay? And there's no question that a subcompact is the best gun for everyday carry, okay? It's easy to carry, it's compact, comfortable, okay? Fits the hands of women very well, okay? However, that doesn't mean that it is the best first gun, okay? It doesn't mean that's the best gun to learn on. I've seen this time and time again. The best first gun for most people is an AR-9, okay? And yeah, you know what? Maybe an AR-15 is better for the apocalypse, but you know what? This can kind of do the job, right? I mean, if this is all you've got, it will do the job, okay? As far as a pistol, a Glock 17 or a Glock 19, it's a little bit too big for carry. I generally these are more like backup guns to your AR-15, you know, and your you know, your Glock 17, Glock 19. It's more of a backup gun because this is what I call like a full-size duty gun. But it's the pistol that I find that most people are able to learn to shoot the best. And everything's got to have optics. I mean, don't buy a pistol or a rifle unless it is optics ready. I tell you guys, when I first started training people, all guns only had iron sights on them, okay? And when it came to women, I mean, on iron sights, I would probably lose about 50% of the women, okay? So I started putting red dots on AR-15s, okay? And I noticed that all of a sudden, it's like I went from from losing 50% of women to I would maybe lose 1% of women, okay? Like almost 99% of the women that would shoot an AR-15 or an AR-9 with a red dot on it would like it and would want to shoot more. So the red dot makes people that are kind of like on the fence about guns, and if they're gonna like guns, and it pulls them in. It's like, wow, I really like shooting this. They see the targets getting hit, they want to shoot more. So for a while it was like women only wanted to shoot ARs with red dots on them, and then at some point I got a pistol, because what would happen is they would want to shoot the AR rifles with the red dots. They would not want to shoot the pistols with iron sights. And at some point, I built the gun, I put a red dot on it, and now all of a sudden it's like, whereas before women didn't want to shoot the pistols with the iron sights, now they wanted to shoot the rifle with the red dot. They also wanted to shoot the pistol with the red dot. So that was the difference, right? That was what it took to get them over that hump of wanting to shoot, of liking to shoot. And a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta learn to shoot iron sights first. No, that's not what works. Okay, that might be technically correct somewhere, but I'm not interested in technically correct. I'm interested in recruiting more people and getting them on our side, and getting more people into shooting and into carrying guns, and into the gun community overall. Okay, so the way you're gonna get them there is by having them, shoot guns that they like shooting and enjoy shooting, not the ones that are necessarily the best for the apocalypse or for everyday carry, because that's not where they're going to go immediately, right? They're not going to go from never shot a gun before to next day ready for the apocalypse or next day ready to carry a gun. That's not the way it works. They're going to go for the steps they're going to take is shoot a gun for the first time. I like it. I enjoy it. I want to shoot more. Okay, do that a bunch more times. Enjoying shooting the guns, right? To I want to own a gun. To okay, great. I'm very comfortable with guns now. What gun would be great for home defense? What gun is good for everyday carry? That's how they get there, right? Nobody goes from never shot a gun before to give me the best gun for the apocalypse to give me the best gun for everyday carry. Okay. And like I said earlier in the video, I've known lots of people that have carry permits and also have pistols, but don't carry them because they never developed that comfort level. Okay, so it's like, how do you get them to that level? Those are the steps. So that's what I've been recommending. AR-9. That's the gun that people enjoy shooting, and basically gets them into the hobby. And then from there, put them on a full size Glock 17 or Glock 19. It doesn't matter if it's not perfectly comfortable in their hands. It's got a red dot on it. They'll learn to shoot it. Okay, even women with small hands, they manage to shoot the gun. And then from there, sure, get them on a Glock 43, get them on a 365. But those are the steps that it takes to get them there. Okay, so drop some comments below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you all soon.